I don't know if you can see me.
Okay, it should be showing up on that link in just a second.
Can they hear us? It says connection to audio. My brother and sister. Can my brother and sister hear that it says connected?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can send them a request to unmute themselves.
Because that's probably Destiny at the prison system.
Still connected to audio, it says. Alice Watson.
Maybe.
Where is the microphone?
There's one here.
This Alice right here. I am Joe.
Alice Watson. I'll stand and add it.
I'm sorry, there's just a second lag in the video in comparison to
Alice Watson. Well, Destiny lives in the house, but me, my brother and sister, we all are a party to it if we ever sell it or what have you. But Daddy deeded the property. In Daddy's probate, yes, if we ever sell it. But Destiny could live in it. He deeded the property over to her.
I am Barbara Limley, and I plan to purchase the property, provided the siblings agree. Two of them have agreed Destiny's been a holdout, and I plan to clean up the mess and get it off Marshall Sova's caseload. Lemley, L-E, M as in Mary, L-E-Y. Do you have the documents showing the final will of the sibling groups where Destiny was? Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Wozniak, and I'm a neighbor. W-O-Z as in zebra, N as in Nancy, I-A-K. Drew a blank, 325 Southeast Church Ave. You're welcome. Yes.
Vicki Walters. Neighbor, 422 Southeast Monroe Street, Lake City.
Mavis George Alice. Georgalis. Neighbor. Neighbor. 223 Southeast Church Avenue.
Brother and sister trying to join.
That should be it, Ms. Marshman.
Brother and sister trying to join still.
Miss Alice Watson, Judy Bradley Buse, and Randall Schofield, there they are. They're showing up on the screen. But I don't hear them at all. It's Randall Schofield and Judy Bradley Buse.
We were.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, everybody was. Yes, ma'am, I did. Yes, ma'am, I did. That was today. I did a drive-by. There's been no additional cleanup to the property at all. Well, basically, the placards that I put on the house, they've been removed again, which I placed on the property on June 1st, where photos were taken. There's still trash littering the front yard, the backyard. I did not go inside the residence at all. As of yesterday, no. Approximately a week ago, there was somebody staying at the property where the police department and the fire department responded due to a fire at the location.
I didn't know it either. Didn't know anything about a fire either.
There was one inside when the police responded. There was two or three noted on the outside. By the time I arrived there, the fire department had extinguished the fire. During that process, the police department got an investigation where two subjects were arrested. Trespassing and drug-related charges. No, ma'am, not at all. I can pull it up. There's a photo that I took. I don't know if you have access to that. Basically, it says, warning, this building and or land has been found to be dangerous or hazardous by the enforcing official. This notice is to remain on this building or land as placed thereon until this requirement of the notice which has been given the owner has been fully complied with. It is unlawful to remove this notice until such requirements have been complied with. And it's a big yellow sign. It was on May 31st, I believe, when the police department and the fire department responded. Police department was there, fire department was there, they'd already extinguished the fire. There was 3 subjects on the property. I don't have their names handy at this time, which 2 of them were arrested for the drug charges and trespassing. Basically, the inside of the residence is littered with trash, a big sanitation issue. There's mold on the walls, there's, parts of the floor are missing, parts of the walls are missing. It's just a total mess. On the outside behind it is like a garbage dump, littered with mattresses, sofas, you name it. And also, there is no utilities at that residence. By checking through Florida Power and Light and through the city of Lake City, which distributes water and gas. It was outside the structure. When the fire department responded, they had all occupants that were there at the time put the fire out themselves. We're wanting the property condemned, or if the owners are willing to clean this up, they're gonna have to gut the whole residence on the inside. And I'm not sure about the roof part of it. It's gonna take quite a bit of money to get that property cleaned up and up to code. Yes, there's weeds and overgrowth in the backyard, and the trash just littered all over the backyard.
Right, I'm seeing you, but again, that is. Yeah, what's that?
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. That's correct. Yeah, I could pull it up at my office and I can email that to you.
I don't know that it matters for purposes of the hearing today, Mr. Sova. Whether the property is connected to the water supply or not. I think the other, and if the city's willing, to waive a violation of this provision, just because I can't find, I don't have the actual provision today. We can proceed on the other violations. Mr. Sova, I'll leave that up to you, whether you want to proceed today on the other violations or not.
Yeah, we can proceed on the other violations, but according to the Florida Building Code, that it is required for, if you have access to city utilities, that you're required to hook up to those, the water, gas, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's the Florida plumbing code that applies,
Yeah.
but I just don't have that provision today.
The health department, they also come in and they did a abatement notice on the property also.
Okay. The other provision, the last provision you cite is IPMC 601.2, which requires property owners to provide and maintain mechanical and electrical facilities and equipment. And I do not see how this provision is violated by not having electric supplied to the property. So in other words, if the electric is turned off, I don't see where it requires the connection. It just requires maintenance of facilities and equipment. I mean, the structure has mechanical and electrical facilities and equipment, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so Mr. Sova, do you have anything else that you would like to share with me today?
No, ma'am, that should be it.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to allow each of the property owners to provide me with any information that they'd like to provide today. Just in terms of the proceedings, and so everybody is on the same page and understands what's happening. The city is asking through Mr. Sova, and Mr. Sova has presented evidence that the property located at 406 Southeast Main Street in Lake City violates various sections of the city code and essentially building code. And you all heard what Mr. Sova said, but just due to the state of the property, whether it was the trash and debris outside, the weeds outside, but also inside, and the structure, and ultimately is seeking either condemnation or for the property to be cleaned up. So what I'd like to hear from each of the property owners is whether you dispute the condition of the property, and if you don't dispute the condition of the property, what you would like me to do. If I find a violation and there's evidence of a violation, I do have the ability to, and I think Mr. Silva's agreed, if there's a commitment from the owners to clean up the property and bring it into code, it sounds like Mr. Silva is willing to do that, so I could order that. If there isn't a commitment to clean up the property or an interest in cleaning up the property, then I will order condemnation of the property, assuming the condition of the property is what Mr. Silva says it is. So I will start with Destiny Cordell. Ms. Cordell, do you have any information you'd like to provide me regarding the condition of the property and what you would like to see happen to the property?
I would like to see it cleaned up, but unfortunately, I have had limited access to people to be able to try to help me at the time since I'm here. And so I have not been able to really contact anybody to find out if I could get help with the cleaning. I just ended up getting a number that somebody that was willing to help me, but my classification officer had it until today, and I have not even got to speak with them to see if they're still willing to help. But other than that, because I was wanting to try to contact my mom and let her know this and see what was going on so I could talk to her, but I have not been able to contact anybody since I've been here at the Department of Corrections.
Who is your mother?
Alice Watson.
Ms. Cordell, are you presently incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long do you expect to be incarcerated?
My earliest release date is April 13th, and my latest is June 20th of next year, 2024.
Do you have the financial means to clean up the property yourself?
No, ma'am. I don't have the financial means. I don't have no financial means at this time.
Is there anything else you would like to, any other information you'd like to share with me regarding the property?
I just hope that we can solve this so I don't lose the home, because my dad left it to me a long time ago, and I would like to get it cleaned up. Unfortunately, I had people that were staying there that abused the place, and when I come back to try to clean up the place and stuff, I kind of had, unfortunately, financial means and issues on why I couldn't finish cleaning it up, and then I got incarcerated before I could finish. And now I've been here since.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Cordell?
No, ma'am. And thank you for listening to me and letting me speak on my behalf.
Of course. Alice Watson, would you like to speak to the condition of the property and what you would like to see happen to it?
I haven't been back to the property since Destiny hadn't been living in it. That was the last time I saw it. And it looked like she was cleaning up the front of it. I didn't know what the back even looked like. I don't even remember the last time I saw the property, probably February, March maybe. And Barbara here in the meeting with us said she's interested in purchasing the property, and I'm willing to deed out my interest in it to her to sell it.
Good job.
Okay. Anything you'd like to add, Ms. Watson?
No, ma'am.
Do you, Ms. Watson, just to be clear, do you have any interest or means to clean up the subject property and bring it into compliance with the code?
No, ma'am, I don't. I'm actually in town only one day a week to work. I live in Fort White. I usually don't come into town except to go to work. And I have emphysema and asthma as well. I could never go into her house usually when I went over there because she had animals. So I couldn't breathe after I had been in her house when I went in there. So I had been in the house in a really long time.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Watson. Okay, then we will, Mr. Schofield and Ms. Bruce, do you want to speak to, have you seen the condition of the property, or when's the last time you've seen the property?
No, I've not been in there in a long time, and it states in my father's will and all that she could live there as long as she maintains this property and makes this her home, and takes care of all the taxes and all the stuff which she hasn't done in years and years and years. We've tried to sell this property 2 or 3 times. She won't agree to it. She won't do nothing. She's on drugs. She's just a mess, and I don't know what to do. I mean, our hands are tied, but I'm with, like Alice. I want to see, if somebody wants to buy it, that's fine. Let's sell it, and every time we run into the problem, that Destiny won't go along with it and everything, but it states in the will and everything that, if she don't maintain and reside at this for 3 months and all, but it's to be forfeited and sold and split 4 ways. And,
I'm willing to sell it, so I'm not sure where you come with that, but I apologize for interrupting.
We're ready to sell it then. If they got Barbara wants it, let's sell it to Barbara.
Okay. Mr. Schofield, just to be clear, do you have any interest in cleaning up the property and bringing it into compliance with the code?
No, I'd rather it be sold.
Okay, Ms. Bruce, do you agree with Mr. Schofield, or is there anything you want to add?
I have some I'd like to add. This property has been demolished piece by piece, literally board by board, nail by nail for years. It has never looked as bad as it does now, but we live in Georgia, so we don't see it on a regular basis. We didn't realize it had gotten this bad. But Barbara Limley is interested in buying the property and cleaning it up, having it cleaned up and back to code where it's supposed to be. We have tried numerous times to sell this house. Destiny would not agree to it at all. Now that if she says she's willing to sell it, the 4 of us maybe could, get together a contract to let Barbara and get it cleaned up and fix the problem. This house has been destroyed. Like I said, just literally piece by piece. On Facebook, we would see pieces of the house being sold, piece of the house being just literally doors, windows, plumbing parts, just literally the house being demolished and taken apart. And we don't have the funds to take care of all of that damage. We wanted to sell the house when we were able to sell the house before this ever happened.
Do you have anything else to add?
I don't think so.
Ms. Lamley, do you have any information you want to provide in terms of this property? I know you previously said that you'd like to purchase the property, provided everybody, the property owners all agree, and you plan to clean it up. I just want to confirm that that's the case.
That is the case. I'd like to buy the property. All 4 owners have to be willing to sell it. And based upon this information, it appears to be able to be sold. The will stated she would maintain, however, she has not fulfilled the terms of the obligation which allowed her to live there. And I have some pictures of the exterior if you want to see them, but it looks totally disastrous. And I'm willing to assume the responsibility as soon as a agreement has been signed that I can purchase the property as is.
Ms. Lemley, are you a neighbor or what is your current address?
My current address is, no, I'm not a neighbor. My address is 393 Northwest Fairway Drive, Lake City, 32055. And how I met Destiny, she was an acquaintance / friend of one of the persons that was most recently arrested. I have a couple of other rental properties here in town, and I first met Destiny after I evicted the girl who was recently arrested. And I have no relationship other than I tried to help Destiny, as many has, and she falls back in the bad track and ends up back in jail and associating with people who were associated with drugs.
Ms. Lemley, if I am and I understand Mr. Silva is agreeable to this as well, I'll give some time to allow for this property to be sold and cleaned up. How much time do you need in order to do that?
Well, I've already contacted a roll-off container provider. I've lined up some potential people to start wearing hazmat suits, taking the stuff from the back of the yard, the side of the yard, and then going to the interior. And hopefully that would not take more than 2 weeks. The only holdup would be getting all the owners to sign a as is for sale, and then the proper title work to be completed. So hopefully less than a month, because it'd be a cash sale.
Knowing how these things work, to purchase a piece of property and have a contract that everybody can sign, especially when you have some of the owners living in Georgia, you have one owner that's incarcerated if she's going to be a part of the sale. I would say probably 60 days, maybe even 90 days is more realistic. Mr. Silva, are you agreeable? Do you want me to, in light of what you've just heard with all 4 owners interested in selling the property and Ms. Lemley's interest in purchasing it and cleaning it up, how much time do you think is reasonable to allow for the owners and Ms. Lemley to do this?
Well, I want to refrain that the city does not want to get involved in any type of real estate dealings. I would say.
I understand that, but I think you have a commitment. Essentially what I'm hearing is that there's a commitment from the owners to have the property cleaned up by selling the property to Ms. Lemley. So I think the city's interest is, to have the hazard and the waste removed. And it sounds like the owners through Ms. Lemley are willing to do that. How much time is reasonable to allow for that to occur?
I would give them 60 days.
Okay. And do you, in terms of in order in this case, is it your preference, Mr. Silva, I go ahead and find the violations based on the condition of the property and then give the owner 60 days to bring it into compliance with the code?
Yeah, I'm good with that. If it's not done within the 60 days, I would like to go ahead with the condemnation order.
Okay.
I
think what we'll do, we'll find violations, the violations we identified earlier, based on the condition of the property as it exists today, providing the owners, and whether that's the 4 owners or if there's a transaction where there's a new owner by Ms. Lemley or the owner, 60 days to bring the property into compliance. And then what I'll do is, if it is not into compliance, Mr. Silva, I'll ask you to notice this case for a hearing again. So that I can determine whether we need to condemn the property, or give Ms. Lemley more time.
Yes, ma'am.
I have one question. Since there's two owners in Georgia, one local owner here, one owner in the state housing system, is it possible that the two owners in Georgia give power of attorney for the local resident, which is the other sibling, to sign on their behalf to sell it as is, and then Destiny sign a contract to facilitate an actual for sale contract?
Is that Ms. Lemley speaking?
Yes, it's Miss Lemley.
Ms. Lemley, I'm sorry, I can't give you advice on.
Okay, fine, thank you.
You might need to consult with either a realtor or a real estate attorney. Okay, before I verbally issue my order, is there anybody else? I know that we have several neighbors present, and I think many of you spoke at the hearing in April. And I do recall your testimony at that time and your concerns regarding the property at that time. And I do have my notes from that hearing, and we'll consider that in issuing this order. Is there anybody else who would like to speak to this case?
I am one of the neighbors who attended the last meeting.
And can you just tell me your name again?
Mavis Georgalis.
Okay, Ms. Georgalis, go ahead.
We have been living under these conditions for years. Before property owners knew about it, the city knew about it. We have personally complained to the city. It is only when we threatened lawsuit that the city stepped in. Now we're asking to believe something is going to happen. Just wait a little longer. Can you not condemn it now? So if within...
Really?
Ms.
Georgalis, go ahead, please.
Can you not condemn it now and it be under condemnation? If they want to sell it, if she wants to buy it under condemnation, wonderful. The city does not do its own building inspections. The county inspects. Based on county inspection, if it has mold, we know it has asbestos. There are trees that need to be taken down. It is really a total foobar. Let the county determine if the house needs to be destroyed and the owner is only buying the property and may want to put a new house on it. Our feeling is it's a foobar. And to ask us to wait another 60 days, then schedule another hearing, this is going on forever. We have been there. As you heard just a couple of weeks ago, they were cooking meth in the backyard. This is a drug flop house and has been for years. Cars pull up, Destiny runs out, gets in the car, she's gone for a couple hours and she comes back again. What she's doing that couple of hours, I can't say for sure, but it's pretty obvious how she's been earning her money. We've had it, and you're asking us to wait a little longer, wait a little longer. I have been complaining about this for 10 years. And the reason the front would get cleaned up is Marshall and his predecessor would come by, Destiny would load everything into the backyard so the front yard wouldn't have garbage in it. The plants weren't taken care of, the windows weren't broken, there's graffiti inside and outside the house. It's horrible. And what I hear at this hearing is, oh, we'll get it taken care of, just wait a little longer. Yeah, I think the three of us are very upset.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak with regard to this case?
I would.
Go ahead.
As far as go ahead and condemning it, I don't see why that's fair. My brother and I we did not realize the state of the property like it is. We know that it's been a mess for a while in various levels with Destiny living there. We know that. We've tried to get Destiny out of there before and could not get her out of there. Now she says that she's willing to sign and we can get her out of there. As far as my brother and I signing any paperwork or anything to do with anything, we can come there. Ms. Limley can rest assured, that's not a problem. We can have that done whenever it's ready. So that's not a problem. I don't know that it's, well, I mean, just in my opinion, I don't know that it's fair to us to condemn a property that we weren't, we didn't have, we've had a buyer several times, but this one is, Destiny actually said to this one that she would sell it. So this should take care of the problem. We get Destiny out of there, the problem is taken care of, in my opinion.
I'm Vicki Walters, and I'm the other neighbor, and I'm in complete agreement with Mavis. This has been going on for quite some time. And I understand that, yes, there's 4 property owners, but if you're a property owner, you should be at least keeping up with your own property. This didn't happen overnight. This has gone on for years. If you really had an interest in the property, you should have had an interest in it for the past 10 years. 60 more days doesn't seem like a lot to the people that own this house, but you don't live next door to it. It's just a homestead for anybody, a vagrant that just wants to come in, spend the night, do whatever they want to do, and act like it's theirs. They don't care. I live less than 20 feet from where they habitat. I do care. I am in fear for my own life, my own well-being, my own health. 60 more days is not something I want to see happen.
Your Honor, could I say?
Hold on one second. Mr. Silva, the condemning the property, my understanding is if I order condemnation, that just means that the property cannot be occupied. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Because you're not asking for demolition of the property at the cost of the owners or at the city's cost, correct?
Correct. And if we do decide to condemn the property, it's going to take another 2 to 3 months to get that going. We have to get quotes from different companies, contractors, to get these quotes, and it takes some time. We're a government agency. Government does not get in a hurry.
And what would the contractors be doing as a result of the condemnation order?
Condemnation order, if you order to condemn the property, they would basically tear down the property, clean it up, and then eventually do the foreclosure on the property, and the city would own that property.
Okay. So I understand, Mr. Silva, that the condemnation order would just prevent occupancy, that the city would need to request, and I would have to order, in order for the property to be demolished, I need to make some findings with respect to the property being appropriate for demolition. And then usually the owner would bear the cost of that, and the city could go ahead and demolish the property and put a lien on the property based on the code. So I don't believe, so what I think you're referring to is the finding the contractors for the demolition, and then actually getting that done, which you're saying takes several months, right?
That's correct.
I am not a lawyer. This is Mavis Georgialis again. But in getting ready for and dealing with this for so long, I have looked up a lot of statutes. The condemnation order does not automatically make the city demolish it. The condemnation order gives the 4 owners the opportunity. If the 4 owners wish to sell to Barbara, it does not preclude that sale from going. However, it locks down a time clock for that property not to sit there and continue to be. We want that time clock in place. The condemnation order begins the time clock. If Barbara backs out, The county should inspect the property. We've asked for that several times. It has not happened. It does have mold, it does have asbestos. We think that it needs to be destroyed. The condemnation order will lock in the rest of the road, whether it be by the owners, whether it be by Barbara purchasing it, or whether it be by the city condemning it. It gives us a definitive end to this problem.
May I speak again?
Is that Ms. Bruce?
No, this is me. If I could just say something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, as far as the time frame, Barbara just gave us a time frame of the 60 days that she can, get that taken care of. As far as if it's condemned, then it's going to take them a lot longer than that, I would think, to get contractors in and get bids and whatever they do. I don't know what they do, but I think that as far as the clock, I think the clock starts with this hearing and we get it sold, Barbara gets it cleaned up, and that's done. And as far as any of the people going over there still, Destiny's not going to be there for a year, or well, until at least April of next year. So that negates her being in there. And as far as anybody else that comes over there, I don't know why we couldn't just like trespass them or something, like as an owner, which I would have to, check into that. I'm not sure how that works, but
if the condemnation order is put into place today, that does not preclude y'all selling it. You can still make money on it.
Okay, it's not about that. It's not about that. If it was about that, we did.
Barbara can buy it from you this week if you're coming down, but she will be buying it subject to the condemnation order, which starts the clock. It does not preclude the sale.
Okay, thank you. As I was saying, I think that technically the clock has started because, like I said, we can sign at any point, get it done. Barbara already has workers over there. To my knowledge, is what she's told me, that she's already got people that have been over there starting the cleanup process already.
Okay. Does anybody have anything else that they'd like to say with respect to this case?
I do.
Yes, ma'am. Do you mind going up to the podium, please?
I would be interested in buying.
Ma'am, would you tell me your name? This is Miss Lemley, right?
Oh, Barbara Lemley.
Yeah, go ahead.
The reason I would like to buy the house, I'd like to buy it, fix it up, and sell it. I do not have any plans to rent this house. This same group of people were upset and concerned when the empty lots in the back, the owner of those lots wanted to put duplexes. And their concern was if there's duplexes, there'll be potential riffraff. And I want the neighborhood to be preserved as a single family neighborhood, not with duplexes or triplexes behind the subject property, behind Vicky's property, down the street from Mavis's property. I'd like to return it to a single family home. I don't want it torn down. And I think that would actually add time to go through the governmental process of advertising contractors. It could be 6 months before anything happened to that structure. Thank you.
Okay, does anybody have anything else they'd like to say with respect to this case?
Yeah, it's Vicki again. Here again, I'm in agreement with Mavis. I don't care if Barbara buys the house. I think her intentions are well-being and wants to maybe help the neighborhood better. Her intention is also to make money, which is fine also. What we say is, we've seen this go on. What happens if Barbara finds something out that she's not going to buy anymore? We're right back where we were. So something has to be done, and condemnation seems to be the only route that we have. And that, like Mavis said, it doesn't stop the sale of the house. It just gets the clock going. And then if it's not done in that time, condemn it. And that's, no, go ahead and condemn it now. And so the clock is ticking. Because she could actually just back out. What happens if she gets in there and there's something that's really, really just very expensive to take care of it, and she doesn't want to buy it anymore? Then what happens then? We're right back where we were.
Thank you. Does anybody else have anything to say with respect to this case?
It's
This is
Mavis.
Destiny Cordell.
Yes.
I know Miss Barbara. I've known Miss Barbara for years, and when she says something, I know that she does it. She owns a lot of property, and all of her properties are in great condition, and that's why I am willing to sell this property to her, and with the four of us agreeing to it because of that. Now, I would not sell it to any other person at this time unless it was her, because I know that she will get things done and she will make it better, and that's what I want, at least for the sake of this property, for my dad, so he don't end up being disappointed. That's why I'm willing to let it go, so that way I know that she will take care of it, and I know she will get it done, and then that way at least it's still preserved, because it's a historical district area, and it also is great property. The house structure itself is still in great condition. It's just, unfortunately, it's gotten to where over time things have just, and I have not been able to have the financial means or the time to be able to really fix it up. And I shouldn't have had the people that were staying there in there renting out the place, and me not know that what was going on, and me let it get that bad. But unfortunately I did, so I'm having to take responsibility for that. But I am willing to sell and sign over this property to her, and I know that she will do what's right. And so please keep it, at least that into consideration.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak to this case?
It's me one more time. Once again, I point out, the plans of Barbara to purchase this will not change. The plans for the owners to sell it will not change. It gives a control to the time clock of when everything will be done. If the condemnation order goes in today, Barbara is buying it subject to that condemnation order. If she has put and agreed to a 60-day, then fine. She still has that 60-day. But at the end of 60 days, the condemnation order says, destroy the house.
Is this Miss Georgalis speaking?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Ms.
is.
Georgalis, with respect to a condemnation order, that order would just prevent anybody from occupying the home. My understanding is, that there is no risk of anybody occupying the home at this point because Miss Cordell is incarcerated, and any uninvited trespassers could be removed by law enforcement. The city is not seeking demolition today. And my fear is if I order condemnation, that may interfere with the sale and Miss Lemley's ability to clean up the property.
Well, let's ask Barbara. Barbara, are you subject to the condemnation?
Yeah, so what I'm gonna order is this. I'm going to, and I believe I've given everybody a fair opportunity to speak. I'm going to go ahead and find that the subject property located at 406 Southeast Monroe Street does violate the city code. The applicable code provisions are 22-172, 22-175A, IPMC 3021, City Ordinance 22-201, IPMC 108-2. And that's based on the information and evidence that's been presented by all of the witnesses today, frankly. In light of the property owner's agreement and the city's agreement to give the owner 60 days to clean up the property, I'm going to find these violations in order that the property be brought into compliance within 60 days of the hearing today. Regardless of whether the property sells to Miss Lemley or Miss Lemley cleans up the property, the owners, all four of you are under order to bring the property under compliance within 60 days today. If the property is not brought into compliance, I'm going to ask Mr. Sova to set this case for hearing again, so that and request whatever relief the city deems appropriate. At this point, the city has not requested demolition. The city may at that time request demolition, and I'll consider whether that's appropriate at that time. The city could also request fines, a daily fine ranging from $50 up to $200 a day, which would accrue as a lien on the property. The city has not requested that today, so I'm not going to order that today. What I'm going to allow, and I do think, in fairness, the other property owners, the 3 property owners, were not noticed until the last month or so about the condition of the property. So I'm going to give them an opportunity to clean it up within 60 days. So that's my order, and I will, let me just go ahead and get everybody's addresses so that I can make sure that you all get a copy of the order. Mr. Schofield, Ms. Bruce, what is your mailing address?
Mine is 105 Myrick Road, Northwest, Milledgeville, Georgia, 31061.
And Myrick Road is spelled M-Y-R-I-C-K?
Yes.
And you said
Northwest.
Northwest, and that was in Millersville, Georgia?
Milledgeville.
How do you spell that?
Milledgeville.
Okay. And Judy Bradley Bruce, what is your address?
Okay, it's 201 Marymont. It's MERRYMONT Drive. It's Martinez. It's MARTINEZ, Georgia, 30907.
And Miss Watson, what is your address?
P.O. Box 63, Fort White, Florida, 32038.
Miss Cordell, what is your mailing address right now?
Right now, I'm not sure the address itself, but I'm at the Florida Reception Center in Ocala, Florida. It's Lowell.
All right. Well, I think that concludes this case. Does anybody have anything further with respect to this matter?
Thank you, Your Honor, for your time.
You're welcome.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you all for participating today. I really appreciate it. Mr. Sova, do you have anything further for the good of the order?
No, ma'am.
All right, we will go ahead and adjourn the hearing.